Welcome to the First Player Token Podcast, a short podcast for folks who enjoy playing board games with family and friends. I'm your host, Derek Bruff. In this episode, we see whose path to enlightenment lasts the longest in Surro, the Game of the Path. And we're back. My wife Emily and I had a baby boy back in April, and that seemed like a good time to take a break from the podcast. He's 3 months old now, sleeping through the night, and smiling at us on the regular, so life is very good. The boy is several years away from playing board games, but thinking ahead to that time reminded me of one of my favorite games to play with younger gamers, Tsuro, the Game of the Path. Surro is a 2005 game from designer Tom McMurtry, published by Calliope Games, that handles 2 to 8 players and plays in 15 to 20 minutes. Yes, you heard me right, 2 to 8 players. Surro is very easy to learn, requires no reading or mathematics, and has a high player count, which means it's perfect for family gatherings with young kids. The box says the game is for ages 8 and up, but I've played it with gamers as young as 5 or 6 years old. What is Surro? Well, it's spelled Tsuro, which is a little hard for my American tongue to pronounce. It's an Asian-inspired game about finding one's way. The title comes from the Japanese word tsūro, which means root. That theme is pretty light, however, mostly showing up in the art and components. The game board, which is decorated with a richly illustrated phoenix, consists of a 6x6 grid of squares. Each player gets an oval-shaped dragon token to mark their progress across the board. These are kind of vertical ovals with flat bottoms, so they stand up and look pretty impressive on the board. There's a stack of 35 square tiles, each with a different set of paths that connect one side to another. The game starts with each player's token on the edge of the board, and players take turns laying down tiles in front of their tokens. Each time they do, their token travels along those paths to one of the 4 sides of the tile. The goal of the game is to just keep keep moving. If your path takes you off the edge of the board, you're out. If your path runs you into another player's path, you're out. To win, you need to be the last player standing. When we play and someone gets out, we actually knock their token over on its side, so the winner really is the last one standing. Before I share my thoughts on Surro, let's check in with our pathfinding correspondents to hear what they like about the game. This game is called Tsuro, but what do we call it?
We call it the noodle game.
Why do we call it the noodle game?
Because there's a bunch of noodles.
Yeah, because there's lots of lines you have to connect them so the dragon can get across the board.
Can I go first?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm gonna play this one right here. It has a bunch of curvy lanes that I can...
Okay, so you follow the path, which does look like a noodle.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. I'll put mine right here.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna follow this line and go right here. You have to see which way you can go. And if the board's not filled up, you might have to do some new directions.
Right. And so now it's back to your turn.
So I'm gonna play.
Oh, and you cannot go off the board.
Right. That's how you lose. So is the first part of the game pretty easy?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you got plenty of space.
Plenty of cards.
You just drive around.
I'm just gonna go straight.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go straight.
But what happens later in the game?
Belly flop.
They run out of cards and it gets harder to go places.
Yeah, you can't
because most of the board is filled up, so you have to
You have to find a way to keep moving, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have to find the line that connects to get to the other side.
Yeah. So what do you like about this game?
It's so fun and so challenging, and I just like all the lines because it confuses you.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm gonna play this one, and I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna try to go.
Are you trying to connect with me?
Oh,
no, I'm not using that. Because that can just take me right off the board.
Whoa, look at this one. It's all squiggly.
Right. It kind of looks like a flower.
board.
Right, I was going to say, what is one tricky thing you can do to other players?
Yes. So you could just try to get really close to them, and then try to make them move away, and then they might go off the board.
So I'm gonna go this way.
She's heading for you. Now, do you know how old, dear niece, you were the first time you played this game?
It's like 6.
How old are you now? 8.5?
Nearly.
I'm 9.
Yes. According to my records, the first time we played this was 2017, which was 5 years ago. So you were 4. Yeah. You did not win. Your brother did.
We were both 4.
No, of course you did.
We were both 4 at that point, or maybe I was 3. Okay, so I think I'm gonna play this that I've had since the very beginning of the game, and I'm gonna.
Uh-oh. This could be a short game. Oh, okay. So both of you are on the same edge. So now when one of you plays, you both have to move forward. So you are in control.
I'm gonna go this way.
Right. So it's your turn, but everyone has to move.
You're gonna go over there.
I'm gonna go over here, and I'm gonna go right.
Oh, you did a loop-de-loop.
Yep.
Yeah.
Loop-de-loop.
Oh my. It's your turn.
It's my turn, so I'm going to do this, and I'm going.
No. Is that your piece?
Yeah.
No, you're the yellow piece.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna do this little loop, and I'm gonna go on this loop, and I'm gonna knock you down, and I'm gonna go on this way.
I'm turning around.
Oh my goodness.
I'm
So
turning.
what's next?
I'm turning around, but I'm not gonna go backwards. I'm just turning.
We're both still kind of trapped in this corner.
I know.
I'm just gonna go.
We should start going that way.
Whoop, ba-da, ba-da,
I
ba-da.
went such a long way that last
Hold on.
time.
You're that way, and that way. Wait, how did you end up where she is? Wait, I don't even know that that's possible.
Hello.
Hey, you cannot do that.
No, okay, it's your turn.
Okay.
I think you fixed it.
I'm just gonna go.
Crashing into each other.
I'm gonna go over here, then over here.
I'm just gonna go right there. Once again.
Derek, look right here.
Wait, but that means. Boop, 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 boop. Boom.
Yes! I won!
We may call it Surro the noodle game, but I learned while researching this episode that the original name for the game, way back in 1979 when designer Tom McMurtry patented it, was Squiggle Game. It's a pretty good title too, but I'm going to stick to the noodle game, and given recent changes to my diet, I'll assume that these are gluten-free noodles. Surro is a pretty chill game. The board is pretty, the tiles are simple, and the dragon tokens that players use come in very relaxing colors. The game starts off without much challenge, since it's easy to find a direction for your path when most of the board game is empty. But as that 6x6 grid fills up, your choices start to narrow. This happens even faster at higher player counts, which can result in a lot of unpredictable paths and early player elimination. But at lower player counts, there's a fair amount of strategy involved in keeping your dragon token moving while limiting other players' options. That's another reason this makes a great family game. There are enough interesting choices to keep adults engaged, while pre-readers can jump in and enjoy moving their tokens along the paths they make. There is a bit of randomness in the tiles you draw. You'll usually have 3 tiles in your hand to choose from, so there's often one you can pick to move forward, but sometimes I feel like I had a couple or 3 more turns in me, but got taken out by a bad draw of tiles later in the game. Of course, a little randomness makes it easier for younger players to play and win, and the game is just 15 to 20 minutes long, so it's hard to get too frustrated with it. Surro does have player elimination, which can be tough for some younger players, and older ones too. It's more fun to keep playing than to watch from the sidelines, but again, it's a short game, so no one has to stay out for long. One nitpick. The game board doesn't have any ridges to keep the tiles you lay in place, so a good bump to the table can slide all the tiles around, and players can lose their way. So, don't bump the table. If you like Surro, the publisher, Calliope Games, has a few sequels you can pick up, including Surro of the Seas, which has an aquatic theme, and Surro Phoenix Rising, which is, I don't know, a little cosmic, I think. They also recently completed a Kickstarter for a luxury limited edition of Surro with intricate metal pawns, a rule book printed on a bamboo scroll, hand-embellished resin tiles in an embroidered satin bag, and more, all in a carved wooden box. All for just $350 if you're a big fan of the game and independently wealthy. I'm good with the regular version, which runs just under $40. That's it for this episode of the First Player Token Podcast. See the show notes for photos of Surro, as well as links to our socials and a link to buy a First Player Token coffee mug. And if you found one of our game recommendations useful, would you take a minute to share the podcast with a friend or review it on your favorite podcast app? That would mean a lot. I've been your host, Derek Bruff. Thanks for listening. Now it's time to play some games. Well, and
My feet are so wrinkly.
You're kind.
That is because you just took a shower.
And that is audio gold. I think because you were in the river.
Yeah, and then I was in the shower.